Colony collapse disorder, also known as CCD, refers to the mass mortality rates of bees in a hive, which leads to the collapse of the entire colony of bees. Bees are a sophisticatedly social species, dependent on interconnected working populations that can be likened to a well-oiled machine. The decline in the population affects all the bees reliant upon each other for fulfilling specific roles detrimental to the colony's functioning and survival. For example, drones are dependent on worker bees for their food. Clearly, CCD is problematic for the bee species. However, the issue impacts on the wider environment and is not limited to the bee species. As bees are key pollinators, responsible for pollinating up to 1/3 of all flowering plants, their declining numbers impacts on the growth and reproduction of plants. In turn, this also affects all life forms dependent on food, plants for their food, their habitat, and oxygenization of the atmosphere. Therefore, the declining numbers of bees and the sudden emergence of CCD is an issue that impacts on the entire environment and all species, and is not only limited to bees. One of the causes of CCD is the invasive varroa mite. The parasite is predominantly found in Asian bee populations, which are its natural hosts. The varroa mite feeds on the hemolymph of individual bees, but can transmit diseases and viruses from bee to bee in its feeding process, leading to mass morbidity and mortality. Asian bees with varroa have recently been detected in Queensland and are likely to impact on the entire local ecosystem. For the research methods associated with this inquiry, I had read several different entomology journals to increase knowledge regarding the anatomical processes of both bees and varroa mites. This physiological knowledge formed the basis of further research in determining the implications of the varroa mite coursing to the bee and in turn the bee colony. This was then preceded by investigating the impact declining bee numbers would have on the environment and the potential environmental disasters that would occur should the bee species become extinct entirely. During this research, the greatest challenge was to find information that focused on the environmental impact alone and not the industrial or social implications that CCD would cause. There are many journal articles that are published works by multiple beekeeping associations that related directly to the varroa mites and the way they cause CCD. However, very little was mentioned regarding native and wild bee species or the environmental impact. These articles based around beekeeping and agricultural implications of CCD. The key findings of this research illustrate the complex and interconnected relationships between species and their environments. It highlighted the bees' importance in maintaining the environment and brought to light the implications that their declining numbers or extinction would change in our environment. In further research, I would like to find out methods of eradicating the varroa mite. This inquiry aligns best with the Year 4 Science Content Descriptor, specifically science understanding. Living things depend on each other and the environment to survive. Thank you.